It's unpopular replacement singers that just didn't work in bands. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Book. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell notification, share our videos, and like them as well. And remember to comment. We start with Gary Cherone of Van Halen. He had the shortest stint as a lead vocalist for the band. In 1996, when second lead singer Sammy Hagar, who of course replaced David Lee Roth, left, he had been with the band since 1985. At that point, they actually tried to bring back David Lee Roth, but it was a no-go. It was Van Halen's manager, Ray Daniels, who also managed Extreme, that pushed for the audition with Cherone. Eddie Van Halen loved Cherone's lyrics and his dedication to the craft, and in November 1996, he was officially the third lead singer of Van Halen. After he joined, he actually stayed at Eddie's guest house to focus on the music for the next album. And that came out March 17, 1998, Van Halen 3. It debuted at number 4 on the Billboard Top 200, and it sold 197,000 copies in its first week alone, and then 500,000 by the summer. The record was certified gold in the United States, but the album was just different. Van Halen's 3 songs were often longer and more lyrically intricate. In some ways, some fans liked the fact that it was more progressive, but it didn't receive platinum status, so it really wasn't considered that top shelf level for the band. And the record company didn't really hear a hit, so Cherone was out of Van Halen. Years later, the singer says, "I was one of the 3 singers in the mighty Van Halen. You can't take that away from me." Of course, with his previous band, Extreme had a big #1 hit on the Billboard charts with More Than Words. J.D. Fortune in Excess. He replaced late great star Michael Hutchence, who had passed away. J.D. was from Ontario. He dropped out of high school before graduating to work on a TV show as an entertainer and songwriter. So how did he get that gig? He was the winner of 2005's CBS reality show, Rockstar in Excess, and was a member of the band until August 2011. At the time, when he auditioned for the show, he was actually living in a car under a bridge. The program lasted for 11 weeks, and he got the gig September 2005. And J.D. was on the In Excess record Switch, which had 3 singles released, including the song Pretty Vegas, which reached number 7 on the Billboard Top 40. So how did he lose that gig? On February 16, 2009, Fortune told Entertainment Tonight Canada that he was fired from the band with a handshake at the Hong Kong airport. He did admit that he was taking substances at the time and said that was probably a big reason why he had to leave. And yet again, after leaving the band, he was living in his car and used all his money to release a solo album, The Death of a Motivational Speaker. And then it became he said, she said, or he said, he said. Former In Excess manager Chris Murphy said that J.D. was never fired, but they were just reluctant to continue working with him because of his addiction. In 2010, Fortune performed with In Excess many times. And that same year, In Excess released a single, The Stairs, featuring Fortune. By the following year, 2011, In Excess and Fortune completed some shows in Australia, UK, Portugal, South America, Canada, and the United States. By September of that year, Fortune and In Excess had made statements that said they had mutually agreed not to work together again. Axel Rose and AC/DC. Oh, how I remember the response when it was announced that Axel Rose, of all people, was replacing Brian Johnson. Axel performed as lead singer for the remainder of AC/DC's Rock or Bust World Tour in 2006, from April to September. Brian Johnson had to step away because of hearing problems. The band did say, hey, wait a minute now. Rose is not here to replace Johnson in the band as a full-time member. Of course, Axl Rose is known as one of the most charismatic singers of the 80s with Guns N' Roses. A good fit? Well, to some fans, it was apples and oranges. Brian Johnson touched on being replaced by Axl Rose. He told Ultimate Classic Rock he jumped into a tough vocalist gig. You've got to be on top of your game for that. Rose co-founded Guns N' Roses in 1985, and they went on to be one of the biggest bands in the world. Their first album, Appetite for Destruction, in 1987, sold in excess of 30 million copies worldwide. Well, the good news, of course, Brian Johnson is back in AC/DC. Ian Astbury and the Doors. Technically, it wasn't the Doors, it was the Doors of the 21st Century in 2002 to 2005. There was a lawsuit, so they couldn't use the Doors name. The band featured original Doors member Robbie Krieger and Ray Manzarek. Not in the band, and the man suing because of the name, John Densmore, was replaced by Stuart Copeland of the Police, and later Ty Dennis. Their very first show was at the House of Blues in Los Angeles on September 3rd, 2002. 2 months later, Copeland injured his left arm while bicycling and was replaced by Dennis. After losing the lawsuit to John Densmore, the group started calling themselves Riders on the Storm after their 1971 hit song. As for Ashbury, of course, was a founding member and lead vocalist of the Cult. From 1980 to 83, they were known as the Southern Death Cult. Changed their name to 1984, and they did okay. Their signature song, She Sells Sanctuary. Ray Wilson and Genesis. Their first lead singer was, of course, Peter Gabriel. He left in the 70s, being replaced by their drummer, Phil Collins. And then it was Scottish singer Ray Wilson from 1996 to 1998. Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks of the band received a CD of Wilson's band Stiltskin from a Virgin executive. They were so impressed they asked him to audition. He signed up as lead singer in 1997, but he only recorded one album with the band. Sure, he did sound different than the two previous singers. I thought he fit in. And a lot of diehard Genesis fans still really like that album, Calling All Stations. The project became a top 10 worldwide hit, except in the US, where it only went to number 54 on the top 200 album chart. Genesis toured Europe in the winter of 1997 and into the spring of 98, but the tour was canceled because of low sales. As for Ray Wilson's past, he started a band called Guaranteed Pure in the 1990s, then went on to sing with the aforementioned Stiltskin. And they had one number one UK hit single called Inside. All these singers on their own are fantastic. Sometimes it's hard for rock fans to change their paradigm on a band. And usually you just get one album, one single, or just some touring like Axel Rose. Mind you, he had a good band to fall back on. Hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. Do you have any other suggestions for replacement singers that just didn't work out? Make sure you comment. Buy a t-shirt, help support the channel. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Book. Take care of yourself.